Team USA goes down, and now their hopes to advance come down to tonight. Between Mexico and Italy, they need a whole lot of runs. Not a whole lot, but they need a decently high-scoring game, or they could be doomed. They're going to need help tonight. Both teams could just collude and have USA out of it. Noah McLean was a part of it, giving up 3 runs, but not all on him. He struck out the side in the first. He looked great. And then in the second inning, gave up 2 home runs to make it 3-0. And then he got through the third. So 3 innings, 3 runs. They just didn't score enough. Bullpen wasn't good enough. But I thought it was inexcusable that Mark DeRosa thought that they advanced. How does Mark DeRosa not know the situation? This is a tournament, once every couple of years. And this guy has all the time in the world to prepare for this tournament. He's got nothing else going on right now. This is the one time you're managing this tournament. And he had zero idea what was going on. He thought the team might already advance to the quarterfinals. And now there's a good chance they don't advance. And listen, I don't put a lot of stock in the WBC like some people do. To me, yes, it's fun. It's good. If USA doesn't make it, is it pathetic? Yeah, probably. But I'm not going to lose an ounce of sleep. So I actually did not sleep very well last night. Nothing to do with USA. I just could not sleep very well. So I don't know what that was. After 3 days in a row of pickleball, I thought I'd sleep great. I was struggling. So a little cranky this morning, but not cranky about USA. But Mark DeRosa should be cranky because that's pathetic. Know what's going on when you're managing a team. Probably doesn't help any chance of him getting a managerial job. Like MLB took down the video of his press conference talking about it. Bruh, this is 2026. It's the internet. It exists. So for MLB to delete it to try and save face for DeRosa, we all saw it. It's out there. There's a version of it that's on the internet. So no reason to get rid of it. But I understand why, because it's a bad look. But Team USA, not a good position to be in here. I mean, they're going to need help. They're going to absolutely need help. But in an appearance on MLB Network, he said, we want to win this game even though our tickets punched to the quarterfinals, which he did not realize. So, should Italy win and finish pool play at 4-0, the United States would advance as well. So they need Italy to win. If Mexico wins, it would finish at 3-1 along with Italy and USA. In that case, the tiebreaker would determine which 2 teams advance to the quarterfinals. Considers runs allowed per out recorded. If the Italy-Mexico game goes 9 innings and Mexico wins and scores 5 or more runs, the USA, the odds-on favorite entering the tournament, and Mexico to advance. Should Mexico win while scoring 4 runs or fewer, it would advance alongside Italy. So, here's what you need to know. If Mexico wins tonight and it's, 4-3, 4-2, 4-1, 4-0, USA is going home. And that's not good. What is good is Ultra. Here that we love Ultra on Mets Daily. And new routines in the new year, trying to cut back on stimulants. Morning drive in the work, gym, late night. New Year's about getting a reset. Your sleep, your energy, your workout, stress levels. And that's why I decided to use Ultra pouches, completely nicotine-free, caffeine-free, packed with nootropics that are designed for mental clarity and enhanced focus. Same kick as a nicotine pouch without those side effects. Most pouches elevate cortisol, raise blood pressure, and keep your body in a constant stress rate. Ultra pouches let you keep your pouches, but with a cleaner kick. One of my biggest New Year's goals was better sleep, and that's where I noticed the difference first. Falling asleep is easier. Waking up actually feeling rested. Another New Year's goal, better workout, better recovery. Start the year off right with focus, discipline, and consistency. 90% of users saw significant improvements in their overall focus levels. It's trusted by top athletes, entrepreneurs, and engineers around the world. See here, we got the Cool Mint. We got the Wintergreen. A couple different flavors for you. Ultra is the ultimate guilt-free pouch delivering instant focus and mental clarity without nicotine or caffeine. New customers can use code FANARCH to get 15% off at takeultra.com. That's takeultra.com for 15% off with code FANARCH. After you purchase, they'll ask where you heard about them. Please support our show and tell them our show sent you. That is Mets Daily sent you. Go get your Ultra pouches today. Francisco Lindor got in the backfield yesterday, and he said he's not as strong with his hand. He's got to get the buildup in his hand, but he said he felt good. He got 4 innings on a backfield. He said, I'm not as strong with my hands, so just got to get stronger. I'm in a good spot. I can't complain. And obviously, David Stern said all indication we have it's going as planned. We have a similar level of optimism that he'll be ready for opening day. Lindor said, yeah, I share his confidence for sure. Our training staff is really good. They've been doing everything possible. They're getting me right day in and day out, so I trust them. I trust the process. They've been through this a lot of times when they say, I'll be ready for opening day. I believe them. I'm very optimistic. Hopefully everything goes the right way. We'll see where we're at. Yeah, I mean, listen, I think there's a couple things. You don't want to rush it with Francisco Lindor. It's a long season. It's 162 games. You don't want to just say, get him ready, opening day, Citi Field, Peralta Skeens. Believe me, I'll be there. Of course I want to see Lindor leading off opening day, Freddie Peralta. The vibes would not be the same if Francisco Lindor is not playing opening day. It just would, you feel you think about like a championship season or like any special season. You look back to opening day. You don't want to look back and be like, Vidal Brujan was our opening day shortstop, or even if it was Ronnie Mauricio, who I like. You'd love for it to be Lindor, but they got to be careful with this. But he's got 15 days. 15 days from opening day at Citi Field. There is still time, so I think he'll be just fine. Jonah Tong won't be in Queens with the Mets on opening day. He has been optioned down at AAA. 63 players left. A lot of moves still to go to get that 40-man down. Will we see Tong back with the Mets this season? I think it's tough. I think Jonah Tong has all the potential in the world, but I don't think the Mets are just going to call him up later in the season just to get him up. I think it all depends on what's going on with their staff. Are they struggling to go deep into games? Are there injuries? There's obviously going to be an injury or two, probably more. Unfortunately, that's just how the cookie crumbles. But remember, the Mets still have to go to Christian Scott. Tobias Myers is probably their first guy. Then it's going to be Christian Scott. And then you start to think about Jonah Tong after that. Jonah Tong is probably, after the 6 that they have right now, is probably 3rd or 4th on the depth chart after that. He's probably around the 9 to 10 range. Will the Mets go through 9 to 10 starters? Probably. I think they would love to go to Jonah Tong when the time's right. I felt he probably should have been called up earlier last year, but they also rushed him, So the time's got to be right for Jonah Tong. Let us know in the comments below. You're watching Mets Daily. Forgot to introduce ourselves. You know me. I'm Jake Brown, at Jake Brown Live. Maybe you don't. If you're new, welcome aboard, and welcome back to Mets Daily. But I'm not in any rush to really go to Jonah Tong. No rush. But I think now that he'll have at least half a season in AAA under his belt, you'll feel a little bit better. Remember, he had 2 starts in AAA, and then the Mets called him up because they had nobody left. It was kind of a dire straight situation last year. Was he maybe ready? Maybe. Probably not. All right, let's get to your comments from yesterday's show. Dr. Manhattan said, I was at David Wright's last game. I purchased those tickets in May 2018 when it was announced that he plays last game on September 19th, 2018. Those tickets sold out like hotcakes. Yeah, I remember I brought a box of Kleenex to the game. I was sitting, I believe I was in the 7-line seats in center field next to the Apple. And I remember I wasn't ready when they took David Wright out of the game. I knew he was going to come out early, but I wasn't prepared mentally and emotionally for the moment. So in the moment, it probably took me a little bit to tear up, but that was sad, seeing David Wright go. Better Call Sal said this lineup needs work, but we got it. I don't think they need that much work. I think they'll be okay, actually. Oh, Isaac, let's go Mets. Jay Shake says, how do you say you don't put stock in spring training and then say Vientos doesn't need to be on the roster? Don't fall in love with Talkman over spring training either. Mark is righty power off the bench. Keeping Talkman over him makes the bench all lefty. That's the only thing to me is the righty-lefty thing, Jay. But I don't put stock. I don't put stock in normally for spring training, but I put stock in it for a player that was terrible last year. We can't forget about 2024. Like I say with Mark Vientos. Mark Vientos was not great last year. So, yes, this is an important spring for a guy who lost all of his confidence last year. Mike Tauchman's coming off a strong season where his on base was he was a 360 on base guy. He led certain metrics in baseball. Like, I'm gonna put stock into what Mike Tauchman's doing because he's coming off a good year. Mark Vientos is not. That's the difference. But you make a point. They don't have a lot of righties. You need a righty off the bench, right? So that's going to be a problem for the Mets if Mark Vientos wasn't here. And what other options they have? I mean, listen, Ronnie Mauricio is in a case where I think he should probably just be a left-hand hitter. We'll see how he does this year. He needs that year under his belt to actually hit. Remember, he did not get enough at-bats last year, coming off a year of not playing. So maybe Ronnie Mauricio is that guy against left-hand pitching, but Ronnie has looked far better as a left-hand hitter. Boominator says, new subscriber. Welcome, Boominator. I haven't had an MLB team for many years, but this spring I'm working at Clover Park in Port St. Lucie at the Mets spring training facility. Mets fans have been awesome all spring. I've befriended a handful of the 7-line regulars, and I've almost got all the lyrics to meet the Mets down. I am in love with this baseball team now, and it wasn't Soto, Lindor, and Bichette that made me do it. It was all the awesome Met fans. LGM, let's go. Welcome, Boominator. Yeah, Mets fans are great, man. We are underdogs. We've been through a lot. We're good people. So you chose the right team, and I'll have to see you next year at Clover Park, Boominator. The goal is next year to be there. I got to plan in advance. Had a lot going on this year. It was tough to make it, and then there were no rooms left. That is awesome. So welcome to Mets fan to Boominator. Hopefully it's up and up from here. I think you chose a good time to be a fan because the Mets have money. They have a competitive team. Like, this is a good time to be a Met fan. So, welcome. Rano Corin says, and as I said, Mets fans are awesome. Rano says, for 2 years now, I've been saying Mark Vientos is trash. Should have been traded while he still had some value. Yeah, I mean, the time to trade him was probably after 2024, but who would have known that he would have regressed like he did? But I just think the tools he doesn't have are a problem in terms of defense and base running for a team that is preaching defense, base running, and being able to play around the diamond. He doesn't have those tools that a lot of other guys in the roster have. Tauchman can play all 3 outfield positions. MJ Melendez can play any position on the diamond. Bo Bichette's open to play other positions. Jorge Polanco's played all over the diamond. That's not Mark Vientos. Mark Vientos is going to try first, but he came up with third baseman, and he's not a great third baseman. He's got a decent arm, but he's not great defensively. All right, folks, hit that thumbs up, subscribe, share the show, Mets Daily. Go follow me at Jake Brown Live. We'll talk to you tomorrow right here on Mets Daily.